Sorry, we had a policy meeting first, that's what. You just think we were all just hanging out having fun.
We tried to get in there so that it, 15 minutes, you didn't feel like it was like college, you could leave.
Oh, yeah, like the professor doesn't show up and you can bring a seat.
Maybe that's.
I don't know, I didn't ever do that. I don't know, I didn't ever.
Talon.
Welcome, everybody, to the Board of Education meeting for Tuesday, February 13th, 2024. Can we get a roll call?
Yes. I don't have a paper. Do I have a paper for me? Sorry. Okay. Silva.
Here.
Bradley. Here. Stacy.
Here.
Curran.
Here.
Noble. Here. Linneman.
Here.
Denny. Here. Ms. Forbes. Here. We're all here.
Okay, we have a quorum. And if everyone would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by an invocation by Pastor Ben Ritz with Emmanuel Baptist Church.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's have a moment of silence, if we would, before we pray for the student that was lost in our district this week. Lord, we do thank you for our school district, for teachers, for families, for kids that are learning, and for the hard work that's done. And I just pray that you would bless our board, would bless the administration of our schools and our families and our kids, and they would become all that they can be and learn. Thank you, Lord. Amen.
Amen.
Thank
you. Thank you so much for being here.
Do you have anybody for public comment?
Yeah, it's a good turn, right? This is the best part, this is the gift. Okay, you ready? Are you ready? Not yet, I'll get you. You ready? I'm very excited about this too. The Grand City School District 9 Board of Education Administration would like to recognize a Maryville Elementary Education second grade student, Mr. Charlie Flowers. Do you want to come on up, Mr. Flowers? Tell him how amazing you are, okay? Here we go. Ready? I like this. I was a history geography teacher, so I'm really excited, okay? So this is pretty neat. So Charlie was part of a geography bee. And it was held, I do believe, at Eversole High School on January 20th. He was in a category that was 4th grade or below. He was the only second grade competitor in that. Most of them were all 4th grade. I don't even think there was a 3rd grade. I went through the list today. I think he was the only one that was not in 4th grade, which is really cool. So, and he's the youngest in the competition, and he placed 4th out of 24 students, all of 23 of them in 4th grade. Okay, he placed 4th and was invited to go on to a competition in Orlando on Memorial Day. And if he was successful there, he could even perhaps go to Vienna, Austria. I taught European history, so I'm very excited about that, right? From July. So we're just really excited to hand you this amazing plaque because we're so proud of you. So everybody give Charlie a big hand. Too. We got everybody, so let's see, so this is mom, okay? And a brother, look at big brother too, let's all get a picture. Did we get one of just him up here holding that?
I'll get one here.
Okay. You gotta stand there and get one, or you want one, two, or both of us?
Okay, all right, there we go.
And then do it.
All right, Charlie, here we go.
And I want to tell you something, Charlie. So because you entered this, I did some calls today, and we're going to send information to all of our schools to make sure more kids can compete in the geography next year. All because of you. How cool is that? Okay, thank you so much.
Good job, Charlie.
Charlie may be a
I
school
know.
board member someday.
I know, I'm kind of thinking that, right?
I
Should we,
navigated Maryville when we talked about attendance centers, and he was one of my friends that gave me lots of great ideas.
do I need to ask him a geography question?
Don't put him on the spot.
I have an easy one. What's your favorite country, Charlie?
What's your favorite country?
What's your favorite country? What's most interesting to you?
Greenland.
There you go. It's not that green,
It's
right?
not green, right?
Yeah.
I won't ask the capitals of countries and all that, even though I talk, you know.
You know
So,
some.
do you know some like Austria?
Vienna.
Yeah, so that was a pretty good one. I threw that one out
Hey, do
there,
you know the
right?
capital of Estonia?
Oh, look.
Oh, Talon.
I think he actually recognized that, but not just from your name.
Why don't we let Charlie
Yeah.
question the superintendent?
And we are super proud of you. And we have that great plaque, and if you're gonna go to Orlando, correct?
Yes.
We need to let us know, when he goes, now he does, and so we'll make sure we'll bring him back.
Take lots of pictures.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good
We're
job,
really
buddy.
proud of you.
Great job.
Right, one more time. I'm excited about Charlie. And I'm also excited about this too, so. We do a lot of work with SM Wilson, which is a project management firm. They've helped us with the master plan for our sports facilities, helped us with the softball field. Could I have Mr. Greg Williams come up at this time? So, what I'd like to do first, when we are doing the softball field, they do something called Beyond the Build and the Skill Ed, here, how about over here?
Okay.
Skill Ed program. They had our kids actually go out to the softball field with engineers, with their project managers, and got to see what's going on at their own field. They worked with them. They were out there in the classroom and outside for at least 3 hours or so. They've also encouraged participation in their Skill Ed program, which is why we're here tonight. Do you want to talk a little bit about the Skill Ed program? You would probably do better than I would, so.
Yeah, I wrote it all down.
Yeah, let's see. So did I, but it's really good.
It's great. So I'll try and read this and skip over the boring parts, but the great part is about the students, so I can't skip over that. So for decades, SM Wilson has proudly built education facilities, and our work has had a tremendous impact on our community. We were born here 100 and something years, 102 years ago in Granite City, so we're proud to be back here again. In addition to really supporting individual student interests, which we find very professionally and personally very rewarding. Thank you. So at the end of the day, my words stop working. We strive to support the serious needs of our industry to promote career paths in the trades and provide access to those careers. So in 2019, we started the Skilled program, which was really to provide hands-on construction-based and construction career counseling and professional counseling for students that we have the fortunate pleasure of working with. Every year we put on a competition called the Skilled Award. This is the first year that we've done it in Illinois. We've done it for the last 4 years in Missouri. And really what we're challenging students to do is to create a process or a lesson or an activity or a product that's designed to engage and or inspire their community through STEAM learning opportunities. So the students tonight submitted the most creative and well thought out plans as judged by members from the Missouri School Boards Association and the academic community around the bi-state region. Just like their real world programming, their creative ideas were just the beginning. These students were tasked to create a project plan with an anticipated schedule and budget to implement their idea. And that plan addressed the details of their concepts, including inspiration, impact on the community, goals, audience, location, and resources required to implement the project. So they had to do a lot of work.
They did.
So on behalf of SM Wilson, and I'm very proud to be here for this, I'm excited to recognize and celebrate Lucas Hutchings and Reese Smalley for their project, Changing the World. please, talk about your project and what it was all about.
Inspiration, like in your, just like in your video. Go ahead, Lucas. She's already learning, right? Teresa's already learning.
Delegation, that's management.
A few years ago, our high school and board approved a STEM trailer, which would pretty much go around to all the other school districts and teach the middle school kids and the younger kids about STEM. And so we found this out and we put some more plans into it and talked about what would be inside of it and what we would spend the money on and everything, and eventually we came up with the one trailer at a time.
One trailer at a time. Which you guys still donated the trailer, and we've been working on getting that ready to go out. We've utilized it a couple of times. Been to Coolidge and did some things, planning on doing more with that. But do you want to tell them what award they received for doing that?
Yeah, so this year they win the inaugural Illinois Skilled Award from SM Wilson, and they won a prize of $1,000 split between the two of them.
I know, right?
I could not vote for myself, so I voted for them. They did a phenomenal job, and we're really proud, and we're really happy to be here recognizing these students. This is really what my job is all about.
And it's the first time in Illinois, and I like reaching over. I think it's just wonderful, and they did such a nice job. We were in awards. Was that what night was that?
It was last Tuesday.
And they had a really nice recognition of the other schools, the teams that won. They had food. I just thought it was a really nice event too that they got to go to. So I wanted to recognize. There's Reese's for her win, and some stuff, and Lucas. And we also wanted to do a little plaque for SM Wilson for being such a partner in education with us. So we really wanted to present that to you as well. So
Oh, thank you.
let's give them all. And we hope we'll have even more participants next year and look into some more of the STEAM education, some more of the skilled program, and we talked to the CAPS coordinator, so hopefully we can see.
The more the merrier.
Yes. So let's get, you want all of us?
Yeah, all you.
All of us.
Go ahead.
Why do I think Charlie will be up here a lot too? Just another thought. Okay.
Cool, thank you.
Okay. Oh, and one more thing. I know they're not official yet, but this last weekend, our speech and debate group, is that right? So I have Ms. Anna Forbes, our student advisory board member. I do believe she placed first in the sectionals in impromptu speaking, sorry. It's probably informational as well. Just saying.
Depends on the stage.
What did you speak on this time?
I basically get a prompt from one of 3 categories, so it's either phrases, proverbs, or quotations. So, and then I have 2 minutes to prepare to give a
2
6-minute
minutes.
speech.
2 minutes.
I think my prompts were, my first one was a square peg in a round hole. My second one was civility costs nothing.
Ooh.
With a French proverb, I believe.
Yes.
And then my last one was by Alice Walker, and I don't remember what it said.
So she literally has to get up then and compete against others who got these things. So she won. Will be moving on to state in Peoria this weekend, along with our other group, the Performance in the Round. They placed second. So both them, the group Performance in the Round and Ms. Forbes, will be attending state this weekend. So we want to give them all a hand. And hopefully we'll be back to celebrate them as well at the next meeting. So.
That's awesome. Good luck, Anna.
Thank you.
Okay. Section 5, the minutes. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of the Board of Education on January 23rd, 2020?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, roll call.
Bradley? Aye. Stacy?
Aye.
Curran? Curran?
Aye.
Noble? Aye. Linneman?
Aye.
Vinnie? Aye. Silva?
Hi.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Oh, yes, yeah, okay.
I'm looking around like I
It passed. Are we gonna let people
Passed,
go?
everybody can leave.
Yes,
Wait.
this is your.
Yeah, they tell me to dismiss everyone, and I'm like, no, make this okay.
Charlie's like, I get to. Charlie, you're gonna let us know, right? What happens in Orlando? I'm excited. And you're in Orlando, how can it be bad?
Hey, Charlie, I think the place we're gonna Thursday night. Okay, Thursday we have two, so we'll see you there.
Bye.
Bye, guys, thank you.
Okay, the basketball. You're gonna have to, you're going around. I don't know if I called you, but you're cheering on. I'm trying.
Then, we have a motion to approve the consent agenda, which contains those items that are repetitive and routine in nature. Any member may make a motion to approve the consent agenda or request that any of the items move to section 7 for individual discussion and consideration.
So moved.
And discussion.
Every time we have a gift from the community, which is amazing. So this time again, US Steel, who is incredibly generous with us. They donated $250 worth of Nike Crew Socks to our GCHS athletic PE department, which is wonderful. So it's just another thing, there's always someone who thinks of us, and we really appreciate that in the community.
Roll call.
Stacy.
Aye.
Curran.
Aye.
Noble.
Aye.
Linneman.
Aye.
Benny. Aye. Silva. Bradley. Aye.
Section 8A, rescind retirements and resignations.
It is recommended the following retirements and resignations be rescinded. Mr. Hong Kim, custodian GCHS, retirement effective 2/2/24.
So moved.
Second. Roll call.
Curran.
Aye.
Noble.
Aye.
Linneman.
Aye.
Benny. Aye. Silva.
Aye.
Bradley. Aye. Stacy.
Aye.
Okay, 8B, retirements and resignations.
It is recommended the following retirements and resignations be accepted. Hong Kim, custodian GCHS, retirement effective now 7/10/26. Naomi, I always say her name wrong.
Seidoff.
I always say. Administrative assistant Frohart, retirement 7/5/27. Laura Sullivan, English teacher GCHS, retirement end of 28-29 school year.
Were you two together, Lauren?
Yes.
She's,
So moved. Okay.
Okay, roll call.
they're all.
Noble.
Here.
Linneman.
Aye.
Benny. Aye. Silva.
Aye.
Bradley. Aye. Stacy.
Aye.
Curran.
Aye.
8C, requests for leaves of absence.
It is recommended the following requests for leaves of absence be approved. George Kurgan, science teacher at GCHS, effective 2/22/24 to 5/16/24. Richard Wilson, custodian Frohart, effective 1/18/24 to 4/11/24. And Tracy Grody, fourth grade teacher Mitchell, effective 4/3/24 to 6/26/24.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Linneman.
Aye.
Benny. Aye. Silva.
Aye.
Bradley. Aye. Stacy.
Aye.
Curran.
Aye.
Noble. Aye.
Okay. 8D, requests for extensions to leaves of absence.
It is recommended the following requests for extension to leaves of absence be approved. Cynthia Desper, special ed teacher Grigsby, effective 4/9/24 to 7/2/24.
Second.
Okay, roll call.
Benny. Aye. Silva.
Aye.
Bradley. Aye. Stacy.
Aye.
Curran.
Aye.
Noble. Aye. Linneman.
Aye.
Okay, 8E, extracurricular resignations for the 23-24 school year.
You have received detailed information below about this item. The administration is prepared to make recommendations or hold for discussion in executive session. The GCSD9 administration is recommending the following extracurricular resignations for the 23-24 school year be accepted. Earl Clark, GCHS assistant girls track coach, and Broderick Bevenu, GCHS assistant boys basketball coach.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Silva.
Aye.
Bradley. Aye. Stacy.
Aye.
Curran.
Aye.
Noble. Aye. Linneman.
Aye.
Benny. Aye.
Okay. 8F, extracurricular resignations for the 24-25 school year.
You have received detailed information about this item below. The administration is prepared to make recommendations or to hold for discussion in executive session. GCSD9 administration is recommending the following extracurricular resignations for the 24-25 school year to be accepted. Megan Watkins, GCS head cheerleading. Hannah Isbell, GCHS assistant cheerleading. Jody Blom, GCHS assistant cheerleading. Megan Watkins, GCHS head cheerleading. And Hannah Isbell, GCHS head cheerleading.
So moved. Second.
Renee over here?
Amen.
You can say Linneman and Bradley, but you'll get one here.
That's all right.
Next time.
Roll call.
Bradley,
Aye.
Stacy,
Aye.
Curran,
Aye.
Noble,
Aye.
Linneman,
Aye.
Benny, Silva.
Okay, 8G, extracurricular recommendations for the 23-24 school year.
I'm sorry, you have received detailed information about this item. The administration is prepared to make recommendations or to hold for discussion in executive session. The GCSD9 administration is recommending the following extracurricular assignments for the 23-24 school year be approved. Earl Clark, GCHS assistant boys track coach, and Keith Boyd, Coolidge assistant track coach.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Stacy,
Aye.
Curran,
Aye.
Noble,
Aye.
Linneman,
Aye.
Benny, Silva,
Aye.
Bradley.
8H, certified and classified substitutes.
Below, you've received detailed information about this item. The administration is prepared to make recommendations or hold for discussion in executive session. It is recommended the following applicants be board approved as substitutes for the 23-24 school year. Classified, Ms. Lauren Moore. Girls recommended pending the submission of all the required paperwork.
So moved. Second.
Okay, roll call.
Curran,
Aye.
Noble,
Aye.
Linneman,
Aye.
Benny, Silva,
Aye.
Bradley, Stacy.
Aye.
Okay, 9A, the approval of superintendent employment agreement with Rollers.
I can just.
Yes.
You've received the detailed information about the item below. The administration is prepared to make recommendations or to hold for discussion in executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Noble,
Aye.
Linneman,
Aye.
Benny, Silva,
Aye.
Bradley, Stacy,
Aye.
Curran.
Aye. Okay. 10A, GCSD9 school calendar for the 24-25 school year.
Below are two calendar options for the 24-25 school year. Members of the Granite City Federation of Educational Professionals, formerly Local 743, have reviewed both options and voted to recommend the calendar option B, 53 to 47%. Professional learning days will continue to provide our staff with training and ongoing education for a district-wide focus. Additionally, it helps our staff earn CPD as necessary for recertification. We've adjusted the days through a waiver with the Illinois Board of Education to specify full days of PD instead of the traditional half-day. We feel that it would allow more time dedicated to professional development. While we are recommending that we approve the calendar A option, I do want to point out that the differences between A and B, the calendar A that the administration is recommending has parent-teacher conferences much earlier in November to address to promote the time for improvement in learning and improvement of grades. Also that day, that the November 4th is the day prior to an election day, it gives families then also a break if they come to when they could have up to 4 days to have a break for that too. So that's the only reason we are choosing calendar. It was a pretty close thing, but I wanted to give you some rationale for that. So we are recommending that to adopt the attached calendar option A for the 24-25 school year.
Second.
Roll call.
Linneman,
Aye.
Benny, Silva,
Aye.
Bradley, Stacy,
Aye.
Curran,
Aye.
Noble.
Okay. After that, this was, 1A on there. FOIA request, Freedom of Information request.
We have received 3 requests under the Freedom of Information Act during the period of January 17th, 24th through February 6th, 24th. These were all handled, they're all below the information provided, they were all handled by administration. Thank you, Mr. Mitchell, Mr. School.
Okay. Let's see here. And then I guess multi-grade level schools committee update. Erica Benny and Becky Graham.
This one is going to be kind of a longer one. We're going to go over data that we collected from all surveys, including meeting with our students last week. Yeah, so I will say there's a lot of slides, but we're gonna go through them quickly, and we're not gonna talk about them all, okay? So, I also will not read slides to you. We're gonna get us set in, thank you. As we're getting started, I have to give a special shout out particular to our committee's alternate member, which is Lori Silva. There's a lot of data to process, and if we were waiting on Becky and me to do it, it probably would have been like a couple years from now.
27 hours.
Yeah, Lori spent so much time combing through all of it, coding our data, and making it in a way that we could see some trends, and it was much easier to process and to share with you all. So thank you so much for that, Lori. All right, you can advance the slide. Do we have a clicker by chance? If not, that's okay. I'll just say.
It's right there.
Oh, huh, okay. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna run briefly through all the surveys. We have another slideshow that has like everything, so if anybody's like a bunch of data nerds who wants to talk with us, come see us, but it is like a lot, okay? So staff surveys were conducted. Why is this not working? Okay, so just to give everybody kind of a scope, this was a survey sent out to staff, so that includes like certified educators, non-certified staff, classified staff, administration, also substitutes. You can see the vast majority that responded were teachers. If you think of like, you know, how the breakdown is of like different roles, that's pretty on par. We also asked people, you know, what their experiences were, how many, obviously they all work in attendance centers currently now, and then our definition for multi-grade level throughout all of these is more than 2 years in a building. So, you know, 3/4 of them had. So then we asked them a variety of questions, like our current configuration versus that. Here's some comparisons about students' educational experiences with one versus the other. Again, I'm not going to dive too deep into these, but I do want to show you like how the data falls. We like these, like what benefits we've observed with them attending current configuration versus none. A good amount of people said none. Some like the diversity and age appropriate peers, activities, curriculum, allowing for teacher collaboration. Again, I'm not going to talk about all these. I'm just going to hit the high notes on
The numbers is how many times that answer came up in all the responses.
And so then they're sorted by frequency with the most
Yeah.
frequent up top. Yeah,
Right.
thank you for that, Larry. So challenges observed, lack of role models, lack of relationships because you're there 2 years and you move on, lack of sense of belonging, ownership, and pride. Again, continuing on. I will not go through all of these, but just so you can see them and how things fell. Benefits, now this is talking back to when people remember working in multi-grade level centers, the lasting relationships, a sense of community, stability being a common thread there. Leadership opportunities, I thought that also came up with some other pieces as well. Some challenges, many don't remember any. Others could be the bad influence of older students on younger students. Class sizes are less stable because you're more at the whim of who's registered and where they live. Again, I'm going to keep on trucking. So then we asked them, you know, what do you think? So we gave them these options on the right. I'm going to pause now and say, I intentionally did not go beyond 4th grade because when we started surveying everybody, I thought that it would have been cost prohibitive. So I didn't survey people regarding 5-6, but that will come up in a later discussion in a little bit. So over half said they liked the K-4 model. Second place kind of coming the pre-K-4 model. And then asking, when do you think change should be implemented? Majority of respondents said 55% saying next year, and then almost a third saying the following year. So then top factors that we should consider as we're weighing the options: the social and emotional learning of students, convenience for families, busing, and then uniformity, consistency, cohesion of curriculum and collaboration, and class size. All right, moving on to family responses. Again, I'm going to keep trucking through these quickly because I'm not trying to keep going. This is where we were just trying to get a lay of the land of like, you know, what grade is your child currently in? If you had multiple, just tell us the youngest one. because they will be the most impacted by any decision that we make with this. So that's a nice little pretty rainbow there. We have a spread across lots of grades. And then on a scale of 1 to 5, we ask them to rate their current experiences, the majority being neutral, some positives, some negatives. And then a note about this one, there was an error in the survey, which I wrote, so I take responsibility for that. I had on a scale, scale 1 to 5, excellent to terrible, but I forgot to put the 1 through 5 in. So the first hour or two that the survey was open, we had a ton of respondents. So this one is skewed a little bit, but if you set those aside or distribute them across, it falls in line with what our educators describe through their students' experiences as well. This is where we're asking families, did you guys ever go to multi-grades, before we went there? About half and half, so slightly more that had attended. And then on a scale of 1 to 5, how was it then? Many of them saying 5 was an excellent experience for them. And then same thing here, I screwed up my data. But again, it falls in line with what we're seeing across the other surveys. What is nice, there are a couple points of disparity, I think, but for the most part, across the various stakeholders that we surveyed, we had very similar responses and proportions of those responses.
Right.
Top 5 factors to consider: fewer start and end times. This is again coming from the families. Siblings attending one building, family familiarity with staff and other families, children's respect for the school. Those were the most frequent responses. Then asking them, again, same question we asked staff, what do you think's best? And again, I left off intentionally K through 6 because I thought it was cost prohibitive. So almost half saying K4, and then about a quarter with the PK4, and then current configuration was 17%. Should a change be deemed necessary? 83% want change now. Well, I shouldn't say now, but for next school year, with 11% for the following year, and then a smaller percentage for the year after that. All right, community responses. Just trying to get a sense of what role this person has in their responses is pretty open. 41% being community member, others parent, student. So some people might have answered a couple surveys because they could, but they identified their role through that. Would you like schools to remain in current configuration? 91% said no, 80% said yes. Would you be in favor of returning to a multi-level schools? 96% said yes. 3.2% said no. Am I not correct? Which configuration would you like to see created? Again, to keep it consistent across, I did not go up into 6th grade options. I just kept it through 4. Over half saying K4. Second to that being pre-K4. So again, the same trends across all of our stakeholders. We did not go into what factors should we consider just because we knew that this would be a wider range, and we just opted not to have those open-ended responses. Student responses, this is my favorite, to be honest with you. So last week, Becky, Lori, and I all divided up and we went to different buildings. I had the joy of visiting our 4 elementary schools and meeting with all of the students. And so, again, these aren't tabulated, but they are, we don't have a number on there to show you, but most frequent responses are up top, decreasing in frequency as we go down. So things that they like about their schools are their teachers, the learning. They had lots of opinions on the playgrounds. They gave me lots of good ideas. What can we do to make your school better? More PE, and PE every day. I thought that one was almost consistently every group I spoke with said that. More space, more time for play. How do you feel about changing schools every other year? The vast, almost all of them said scared or nervous, nerve-wracking, missing your old, people in old buildings. They didn't want to leave. Some did say they were excited and happy and looking forward to it. We also talked about how you have a mixture of emotions, and they kind of shared both of those. They had some positives and some negatives. I asked them, how would you feel about staying in there a little bit longer? The vast majority like to have more grades in a school. They would like to see their teachers and principals and staff for longer. They like the idea of going to school with their siblings and to have some older or youngers. The older-younger conversation, it's skewed more in favor of having buddies, but bullying and that fear of it mixing with older students did come out in their responses. And then here are just some notes as I went down. I already talked about that, but I just had more. Okay, so then Coolidge and Grigsby, and I'm actually going to kick it over to the person that spoke with Coolidge and Grigsby, so you can
Right. They like getting to move. The benefits now. They like moving from building to building because they got to meet more people their age. So they would know more people in Granite City their age than if they were just in the same building for 4 or 5 years. And then, of course, one of the students said, if you get a bad reputation, you get to start over when you go to your new building. They might not know what you did at the last school. Disadvantages, their number one answer was anxiety. Every year, that sometimes it's weeks or months before they feel comfortable in their new building. Rules are different at different buildings. It's hard for parents to get them. I heard stories about aunts that have to get up at a certain time to get one student there to another one. And then different start and end times. The student said that, like, if they had a sibling at Coolidge that got out at 2 o'clock, the parents just went to every school and picked everybody up, regardless of if that child goes to Grigsby till 3:45, they're getting picked up at 2:15. So they're missing the entire end of the day. So that was a big deal. Can't see friends at different levels because, you know, if you knew somebody you're in 5th and 6th grade building and they've gone on to Coolidge, you don't get to see them. The long bus rides they didn't like. They felt like there was more fights because everybody's the same age and it's like everybody's kind of like trying to show off for each other. And then, of course, noisier. I think that's everybody on the same page.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, and then,
Okay, and then benefits of multi-level, I really had to do some explaining here because they had no concept of what this was. What does that mean when you're all together? They liked it because obviously their number one was that they wouldn't have to move schools so often. They liked the idea that their younger brother or sister was there because they could look out for them. And then they said it would be nice to know the families in your neighborhood because a lot of them don't realize who lives one block away because they may get on buses, but they don't necessarily in their classroom. So this way they get to know more families in their neighborhood. Older students, they like that about being patrols and reading buddies and so forth. Less competition at your grade level, so you felt like, you know, you could stand out more. Better behavior, they thought that there would be less fights because you had to show off for the younger kids. You didn't want to like just do whatever. Same in start and end times, they said that would be so much more convenient for their parents. Disadvantages, of course, they wouldn't get to meet as many people their age, and then of course they were worried about their reputation following them. Okay, and then they did a vote. And so the 5th graders ended up voting for the current configuration, and so did the 7th graders. Whereas the 6th graders and 8th graders both voted for multi-level schools. So it was a little bit of both. They gave good insight though.
and then we also visited Lake and the high school. And these are students that have had, depending
So
on
the
age, have had experience.
high school did, most of them remembered freshmen were 2nd graders when we went to the current configuration. So they remembered having reading buddies and those things. The little bit older ones remembered they were 4th graders, so they kind of remembered a pre-K, up K through 4 option. So they, I could start with Lake first, but Lake School was 5th through high school who we asked, and some of them liked changing, having a new reputation every other year, fresh start. Some did say it was kind of a good point, they get to know other parts of the city, like they get to take the bus to the whole other side of the city, so they see things they don't get to see. Being together with a large number of students in the same grade all the way through school. So like your 2027 class would have started together in 2nd grade. So those are some advantages. Disadvantage, anxiety of a new school and adults every 2 years, no role models. They're not with their siblings. So consistency was kind of the overall, they felt like they lacked consistency.
Was there anything else you wanted to
No,
add?
that was pretty, in the high school, same, they remembered having, role models. The K-4 was popular with the high school overall, they liked staying the same. They did like the 5th and 6th grade option though, but that was just, they felt like I said, if they started with a group of kids, it was like, almost like your freshman class started together as 5th graders, so you had that, but, Yeah, I think the overall high school students felt the same way as community and staff, they had the same outlook.
And they thought about five different schools.
They did, one of them did mention like a 5 through 8 option, they liked that, so they were all together, but.
That could be a future thing.
So then we surveyed the board office, which would be district administrators, but also any district staff. So here are some responses. Again, we try to keep questions the same for comparability between the different stakeholders. So this is their perception of educational experiences currently for students. 80% had worked in our previous model, 20% had not. Of those that had worked in our previous model, this was their perception of educational experiences for students in those multi-grade level schools. And then important factors to consider. Same thing, I mean, again, everybody is saying the same kind of thing, you know, like parents with families in multiple schools, busing, class sizes, class size stability and how that will fluctuate. These are all things we need to be considering as we move forward, looking at the whole picture, getting input from administrators, basically everybody, which is what we have, I believe we have captured. Everyone has had an opportunity unless you were a kindergartner. And again, I just kept this on, we don't have to go into detail on that. Asking district admin, which attendance center configuration do you view as best? Half, 50% saying K4. Again, I kept the K6 option off because I thought it was cost prohibitive. And second place in this case, 40% going to the current configuration. Should a change be necessary? When should it happen? Half saying 25-26, which would be not this coming school year, but the following school year. 30% saying next school year, and 20% saying in 2 years from now. So that's it. So, some takeaways from this now. It's very clear that the majority of our stakeholders want it. And a very, I would say the majority, for the most part, what changed next year? Our committee has met, we went over all this the data in much more detail with Superintendent Can and also, what is he, Superintendent hired or what? I mean, it's not what, you know, Donnie? Dr. Harris, sorry for the informality.
It's not elected.
What is it, hired, appointed?
Superintendent.
Incumbent?
Just wait.
Whatever. Anyway, so we talked through scenarios,
Make
options,
something up.
and so we would like for the district administration in coordination with Dr. Harris, Superintendent Can, to be looking at, we're not saying a specific model right now, but we want to explore a K6 model because even though it wasn't shown on the survey because of cost things on my perspective, I think it's doable and I think it's something worth exploring. So when I say K6, I think we'd also talk about pre-K6 as a possibility, K4 and pre-K4. So those are 4 models that we're looking at. Now, we've taken our time with the survey because we want to make sure we got as much input from everybody as possible. We also have to allow for our district administrators, in addition to their daily job of running the district, to have time to thoughtfully consider and weigh options, to run lots and lots of numbers, from redistricting to costs, to staffing, to certifications, and to everything else that we don't even think about in our first few brainstorm sessions. And so we are setting a timeline of 25-26 for implementation, which gives a year plus for everything to be run in terms of what are the scenarios. We would honestly like, just because we know the kind of implementation and what kind of undertaking this is, we would like to get a model set pretty soon, because then we want to spend that time working on all the pieces of how can we make this happen. We don't want this to be here we're going to do this and everybody's going to move over the summer. Moving classrooms alone, if anybody's ever been a teacher or in a school, one teacher having to move a classroom alone is an endeavor. And we're talking about a complete paradigm overhaul in our district. And so we have to give them time to allow that to happen. This is not dragging feet. You're asking for a team of district administrators working with the union, with the teachers, with the building administrators, with all district staff to make this happen and completely overhaul our schools. So we need to give them the time to do that and to do it well. Because if not, we're going to be cleaning up a lot of mess. And I said all along, and Ms. Bradley and Ms. Silva agree, we want to get this right. Because this is what is good for our children and for our community. And we don't want to end up with egg on our face and going back and trying to plug up some holes. We want to do it right. And so we're gonna be thoughtful and purposeful in doing it. We are going to continue to make progress on it though. So we are asking, Donnie and Stephanie are working on, coordinating how this will work, speaking with the administration. At the March, I said March, right? The March board meeting, so not 2 weeks from now, come on, let's be realistic, okay? At the March board meeting, we would like a sense of, we want first a report of what's been done so far, what's been discussed, and we kind of just want a status check, where are we? In the very next few months, we want to hone in on, as soon as possible without rushing, what model are we gonna use? And then from there, we want to have goals set and a timeline set, and then we will have monthly board updates in open session here. It'll be a standing agenda item where I haven't designated the person, I don't need to, but they will decide who's gonna give those updates. So that way we can monitor that progress. Again, I know many families in this community want change now, and we hear that, and we are responding to that. But if you want your schools to be the best quality they can be, you have to give people time to make that happen. You don't want a rush situation, because what will happen is you're not going to have any idea what bus your kid's going to ride. You're not going to know what teacher or what school you're going to. So I would like for you to manage your expectations a little bit. We're not going to make this happen next school year. We're already making hires for next school year on our current model. It would be honestly negligent and foolish for us to do this and try to do it for next year. So that's why we're doing a year. A year gives us that time. One caveat I want to add in here though, because all along it's been a K-4 conversation or a pre-K conversation, pre-K-4 conversation. And so I asked, and I've mentioned this to Donnie and to Stephanie, let's talk in a little more depth with the teachers and the staff and then the administration at Grigsby, because I don't want them to feel like this is just something we're throwing at them. I mean, we effectively are, I'll own that. But let's make sure we're getting their input on that as well. As we look at redistricting, a couple things to keep in mind. One, I've said this a lot, I'll say it again, you are not going to have a neighborhood school. We are working with the buildings that we have right now, because we have buildings that we can use and we will use, okay? If the district administration sees like maybe we need to build, whatever, you come to that with that information, okay? But we're trying to keep it as cost effective as possible, okay? So we hear stories of families saying, look, I drive past this school to take my kids to this school. That can still very much happen. Your kids will still have bus timing, because the busing, it really doesn't have anything to do with the attendance centers. The busing is about a staffing issue. And I'm not blaming bus drivers, but until we have enough drivers to where we could change the model we have, we're kind of stuck in the model we have. We can always find ways to tweak it and make it better. But again, I'm trying to manage your expectations, because I'm not going to promise you the universe and give you nothing, Thirdly, we say this, and Lori said it a lot too, we have to really hone in on residency in terms of where people are living in our town, because as we redistrict, we have to know where people are living. And we have a highly mobile population in Granite City. And we will continue to have a highly mobile population in Granite City. But we need to know where people live. We need people to prove their residency. We need people to register, because those numbers are going to be very important for this coming school year, because that will inform a lot of the work that the district administration is doing.
I mean, and I said it before, I know we kind of go with people lived in this house for 20 years and stuff, but I can tell you, I know families that have moved, but they didn't bother to change their address because it really didn't matter what school they were going to. Somebody's driving them to school anyway. So they don't live where they are, and we can't afford to base our boundaries on where we think people live. We have to do a residency check like we did in the old days. Bring in your stuff, show us that you really live there, because maybe people are gonna update their records then. Somebody could be living in South Carolina and get the emails and stuff and send back. It's just, it has to be done. Our boundaries have to be accurate, especially as far as how many students we have in each boundary.
So that's a lot of information to process. There's a lot of work to be done. There will be lots of questions that come up. Let's continue to keep an open dialogue and go to the source. If you have concerns or questions, I think building principals are always a good place to start. They can relay information too. If you have other questions, our information is posted online. And I'm excited. I mean, we're about to take on something very big, and there's probably a lot of anxiety in this room and beyond. But
I do wanna say something.
change is
because
hard, but it's for a good reason.
I'm an alternate on the committee, so the only thing I did was help with the data and stuff. But I want people to know, I read every comment on every teacher said, that every family said, and I've had sleepless nights just listening to what parents have to go through every single day. Aunts and uncles that are picking up kids and taking them here, and cousins. So thank you to everybody that filled out the survey and gave us their input, because they're giving us a lot of insight, and especially to those grandmas and grandpas and aunts and uncles and cousins that are helping getting the kids to the schools. One more year, and we won't have to do this again, so hang in there, guys, please.
That's it, thank you.
Thank you very much. A lot of people are happy. to
Yeah.
hear what they just heard.
We're on our way, we're on our way.
Okay. Got a light at the end of the tunnel. And with that, that was it. Okay. Well, with that, no executive session. And we have no executive session from the last board meeting, so nothing to approve. The next meeting will be February 27th, 2024, right here. And do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
Okay. Roll call, or all those in favor?
Aye. Should sign? Aye.
Okay, yeah, you can do that. Aye.
All right,
All right,
that was Lennon and then Stacy today.
yeah,
Okay.
okay.